And he is here tonight to speak to you on the history of the Florida Boxing Hall of Fame. Please welcome a member of the Florida Boxing Hall of Fame class of 2011, the one and only Mr. Steve Yerrid.
Good evening. Let me first say, I'm going to share some stuff with you tonight. If you want to listen for about 15 minutes, I promise I'll do the best I can. If you don't want to listen, you should leave. I get paid a lot of money to talk, but I'll tell you, there's no better group that I'd rather talk to for free than you. First, I want to tell you, this room was full of championship people. Not just champions in the ring, but championship people. I was taught when I was very young by my father, who was an exceptionally great boxer in the Pacific Theater during World War II. Undefeated, 27 fights. He taught me how to fight when I was 3 years old. But he also taught me to get back up when life knocked me down, which has been frequent. He said, if you get knocked down, Steve, 6 times, just get up 7. I've not seen a person with more courage or more heart than Bob Alexander. Now I'm going to share with you a couple of things that I think Butch Flansburgh and Kathy would like me to talk about. And that's the beginning of the beginning. You know, every great idea has a start. And the start of this lands squarely at Butch Flansburgh's feet. He had an idea. His vision became a reality, and here we are today. And what better leader could succeed a man like Butch than Steve? Steve Canton has kept this thing alive, and he said something important today when he showed that beautiful documentary. If y'all didn't see it, you should. It's absolutely moving. But he said he was concerned not just about his presidency or his chief executive officership, whatever you want to call the leadership position. He was concerned about a legacy. And I also am concerned about legacies. I'm concerned about legacies because when you heard that bell ring after so many great people had passed, you know one thing for sure, right? Nobody's getting out of here alive. And it's not the quality of your life that's important. It's all that's important. The quantity doesn't mean anything. You can live more in 5 minutes than some people live in 50 years. So I'll share with you a couple of things. A long time ago, I wrote a book. George Steinbrenner and I, he was a client, a dear, dear friend of mine. He said, you know, Steve, we got to do something really that may change people's lives. You got anything in mind? I said, George, I'm a trial lawyer. I don't have a baseball dynasty like you. I don't own the Yankees. He said, well, think of something. Well, I've been working with pediatric kids since the 70s. You know, the kids that don't ever ask for anything and get almost a death sentence for being young. And yeah, they really hated their doctors and their nurses. And you say, well, how can you say that? Well, these people inflicted pain upon them, which you can only imagine. I don't care how many rounds you've been in the ring or how many times life has beaten you up. These kids take chemotherapy that's so painful and so nauseating, you can't imagine the nights that they spend. And then they get radiation, they lose their hair, they have IV lines, they have ports, and people laugh and make fun of them. The people that are ignorant and too stupid to know any better. But they're courageous. So I had this idea, maybe if I wrote a book about a championship heart, what it takes really deep inside to be a champion, then maybe they can align themselves with the doctors and the nurses and their families and the caregivers that are trying every day to save their lives and fight against the common enemy of cancer. So I wrote this book called The Making of a Championship Heart. And I use the Yankees as a dynasty, not because it's a baseball book, it's not. It's a book about what makes people successful. You know, some people are exactly the same in physical traits. They have the same acumen, they have the same skill level, but you see somebody, like a couple of good dear friends of mine, I'm proud to call them dear friends. You see Pink, you see Tony Tarver, and you wonder, why did they become world champions? And I know there's a number of other world champions here, but why did they become world champions? And the answer to that's simple. The same way you can become one. They have it. And so a long time ago, I got to talk to a really good coach at UCLA, and he spent some time with me, and he said, I wrote a book, Steve, called The Pyramid of Success in 1932, and it identified 6 characteristics which if people have, they invariably, whether they're doctors, lawyers, or candlestick makers, or boxers, or anybody else, if they have these traits, they rise to the top, just like cream. I put that 6 straight book he wrote on steroids, and I came up with this list. I want you to listen to it carefully, because when you leave here, I want you to aspire, if you don't have them all, which I suggest probably no one in this room does, try to get as many as you can, because you will pass along treasures that are invaluable. Here are the traits that I learned to be a champion. 1, preparation. 2, desire. 3, leadership. 4, attitude. 5, hard work and determination. 6, confidence. 7, effort. Boy, is that a big one. 8, challenge. Challenge. If you don't challenge yourself each and every day, you're not living life. You're coasting, man. Courage. Perseverance. Don't ever quit. Vision. Helen Keller once said, a lot of people can see, but very few have vision. Think about that one. Integrity. That's the beginning, the middle, and the end. If you don't have that, you got nothing. Giving back. That, my friends, is probably the most valuable gift I'm going to give you tonight, because I learned it absolutely through experience. No matter how many toys I've been able to acquire, and by the way, I've only gotten success by the help of others. I've never succeeded one time on my own. Every time I've ever succeeded, against Big Tobacco, against BP, again, you name it, the biggest foes in the country. Every time I've beaten them, it's been with the help of others. And every single time I've lost, and I hope it's few, but I've lost. I remember those vividly. I've been all by myself. My ego won that one, and I lost all the rest. Pride and respect. Doesn't matter what kind of clothes you wear. Doesn't matter how many dollars you got in the bank, what kind of car you drive. You think that matters? It doesn't matter. Pride. Take pride in who you are and hold your head high. Because tomorrow's a better day. That's why they call today the present. And that's why they call hope, hope. Teamwork. If you don't work with other people, you're a loner and you're a loser. Tradition. Learn from our forefathers and foremothers. And make tomorrow a better day than today for the people that follow us. Perfection. Strive for it. You're never going to get it. It's not something I've ever seen, but every day I sure as hell try. And the last one, that's what separates the people that have the same amount of talent, the same traits, the same reach, the same weight, the same ability. That's what separates them. That's called heart. With heart, you can do anything. Now, I'll make it a little levity here. I don't deserve to be in this Hall of Fame. We can start with that. Freddie Pacheco and Angelo Dundee, and I got to meet and become friends with Ali, the great Ali. They nominated me. How am I going to lose with them nominating me? And I think Gary had something to do with it, but they nominated me not because of my boxing skills. I did box amateur and PAL and Golden Gloves, but I learned to help older boxers that had problems with a mental issue that we just now found. They found it in the NFL, but it's been around a while. CTE. The only way to find CTE is upon autopsy. When you see the white matter on autopsy in the slides, you know that the brain has been damaged. And you see like Mike Webster, a great player for the Steelers, just go absolutely crazy. You see people that were really passive and wonderful people off the field become aggressive and violent and hostile to their own families. And people wonder why. You know, remember Junior Seau? He knew something was wrong, couldn't figure out why. He shot himself in the chest so they could autopsy his brain. That's what's happened with science. We now found out that there are reasons people go off the deep end. And boxers, they took more headshots than any football player I know. So helping those people helped me to understand that we can all help each other. So that was one reason why I got in. And then George let me judge the Olympic qualifiers in 2000. And we had 28 different countries. And just the tremendous boxers that came down here, I'm talking about world champions, and y'all know them all. They came down here and gave me a couple days of their time, and I was so flattered. But then I realized they weren't giving it to me. They were giving it to their dreams and the kids that shared the same dreams they had when they were young. So one word about my boxing career, because there's a lot of rumors of how I was undefeated. I was 16-0. My dear friend down there, he weighed 125 pounds. I think it was Golden Glove. It might have been PAL. I don't remember. But we were down at the gym, and I missed a Friday night fight, and I had an excuse. He showed up, and, you know, weight classes are important, and he ended up fighting a guy that weighed a little over 150. You know, you give away 25 pounds, that's a lot. And the guy hurt him a little bit, and we're like brothers. We were raised together. We've known each other for, 55 years now? Anyway, so I go down the next week, and same guy shows up. I weighed 142. What is a big difference between 142 and whatever that punk weighed? But I made him suffer. You know, I'd carry him through the first round and beat the hell out of him, and then this when he started to wobble, I'd wait and do it again the second round. So the third round, he was begging for me to take him out, but I didn't. And my friend there, he loved me ever since. He loved me before too, but I digress. So I think I'm the king of the world, man. I'm thinking about going pro. I mean, how bad can it be, this fight game? Shit, I didn't lose. 16-0. I'm down there for my fight on Friday night. He didn't show up. My guy doesn't show up, at 142 pounds. So they say, hey, we got a guy that got a cancellation too. He weighs 160. You want to take him? I said, oh, yeah, man, I can't wait. Well, after I made that stupid commitment, here comes this kid from Atlanta with this robe on. And he's got 3 guys with him. I didn't even know what cornermen looked like. He's got these 3 guys with him. He turns his back to me, and it says, Tri-State Golden Gloves champion. I said, oh, shit. So in the first round, I don't think I hit him, but there were a lot of punches thrown, not too many by me. So I go back to my corner, and I had a really good corner man. Back then, you know, there was, when you got cut bad, they stopped the fight, and you had headgear. I don't remember what kind of gear we had on, but it was deficient. And it was so deficient, my right eye was closing. And I said, you got to ice my eye. I can't see out of my right eye. And you guys know with boxing, you can kind of fake it when you're right hand with your right eye. And the guy said, what's wrong with you, Steve? What the hell's wrong with you? Don't you see the punches? I said, I see them. He said, well, why aren't you ducking? I said, I only see them when they're going back. The second round, I said, well, I can't do any worse than I did the first round. You know, I'm undefeated, for Christ's sake. Second round, my left eye. Now, that one's bad. My left eye is worse than my right. I can't even see daylight out of it. You know, the lights are pretty bright. I can't see anything. I'll go back to my corner. I said, forget the right eye. Ice the left. And the guy said, why would I ice the left? I said, can't you see it's swollen? He goes, that's not swollen. That's your nose. He took my nose, and he snapped my nose in. And right then, I knew my career was over. I'm too pretty, man. So the third round, I have to go back out. Do I want to go back out? No, I would have had any of y'all go back out. I didn't want to go because I knew what was going to happen. He was going to make me extinct. So I go back out. Remember, this is in the late 60s, and Ali was really coming through, but he had just started that rope-a-dope stuff. And you guys know when you're boxing, you got to keep your elbows tight and your mouth shut, right? Well, this guy spread his elbows a little bit, and he started doing that yapping. I only landed 3 punches that fight. I mean, I remember all 3 because there was a rarity. But the third one was a bolo punch. Somebody taught me in Ybor City, and I drove it through with a body shot, and I hit him right under the chin, snapped his jaw shut, and he was gone. But so was I. That was the end of my boxing career, 17-0, and I'll tell you, that didn't get me in here. All right, now, yeah, you can laugh at me later when you leave. It's okay. This is to all of you, every one of you, whether you're a boxer, whether you're the more important people in the ring, whether you support the game, or whether you're just a human being trying to get by. This is to you. I didn't write it. I wish I did. But I've lived it. It's not the critic. who counts. Not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who's actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there's no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the greatest devotions, who spends himself or herself in worthy causes, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring great, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. Don't ever let them get you down, because you're the only person that can make that difference, whether you're down or whether you're a fighter. Doesn't have to be a ring, just in life. Nobody said this was an easy trip, and everybody who's ever gone through it has failed multiple times. But those who succeeded are your breed. So today, since y'all have given me so much, and I appreciate so much the honor to share time with you, I'm going to give the hall a copy of my book. And it's a book that is not about baseball, it's about life. And each one of you, you're my heroes. I hope I have a good life, and I hope you outlive your dreams.